Finally, some major companies are fighting back against age verification, one of them being Mozilla, the company behind Firefox. So Mozilla, Molvad, I'm probably saying that wrong, Proton, and a few other companies are actually signing a letter opposing UK age verification. It's essentially a protest letter. And honestly, seeing any company opposing age verification at this point feels like a breath of fresh air. I feel like most companies are just bending over backwards and just doing whatever the government wants. Discord, Roblox, YouTube, Instagram, all of these companies out there. They don't use their billions of dollars and vast resources to fight against age verification and protect the privacy of their users. No, they all just completely comply. Well, other than these companies, where privacy advocates, browser makers, VPN providers, and digital rights groups have signed a joint statement urging UK policymakers to abandon plans for broader online age verification requirements, warning that the measures could undermine privacy, weaken internet openness, and expose users to increased surveillance risks. Totally agree, this is just a way to have mass surveillance throughout the world. The open letter published by the Open Rights Group comes as the UK government explores new online safety measures following the passage of the Children's Wellbeing in Schools Bill. Signatories include Mozilla, Molvad VPN, Tor Project, Proton, and the EFF, ExpressVPN, Tuda, and the Internet Society, among others. The coalition argues that proposed age gate requirements aimed at restricting minors' access to certain online features and services would inevitably force all users, not just children, to undergo intrusive age assurance checks. According to the statement, the resulting infrastructure could reshape the web into a fragmented and heavily monitored environment. And so obviously the UK government has increasingly focused on age verification and age estimation systems as part of its broader online safety agenda, more like their broader online mass surveillance agenda. So we're going to go over the letter here together. They made a lot of good points, and it honestly reminds me of a giant letter that was written earlier this year. So there was a time a few months ago where 371 security and privacy academics across 29 countries were actually making a letter to pretty much every government in the world, basically saying, we don't like age verification. This is a huge violation of privacy of all of the citizens in the world, and this is just a way for you guys to keep an eye on everybody and do it under the guise of protecting the kids. And it seems like this may have actually worked a little bit. The UK right now is flip-flopping on a social media ban. Obviously, we all know that this whole age verification fiasco started there. But ironically, even though they are the ones that are spreading ID age verification across the world, they actually did a poll throughout the nation asking parents if there should be a social media ban for kids under 16. And most people actually said no. So they were actually against ID age verification. But then the Lords, which is like the representatives in the UK over there, they actually pushed back on that. Like they do actually want to do a social media ban. So it's like a battleground right there for age verification. But regardless, they are now getting pushback from these companies. So let's check out the letter and see what they wrote. Before we actually read the letter, these are all the signatories over here. Shout out to all these companies for trying to fight against mass surveillance around the world. I mean, I am specifically impressed with Mozilla. I just feel like there's not that many browsers out there, or, just companies in general that are willing to fight against ID age verification. And they are obviously the creators of one of the biggest browsers out there. And, honestly, it's so funny because I've been a Firefox user for pretty much my entire life. I'm obviously recording this on Firefox right now. It's cool, represent Mozilla Firefox. Not all that Google Chrome crap that's going on. Google Chrome has actually been downloading some files onto your computer without even asking you, but that might be a topic for a different video. But anyways, so they basically talk about the open internet, how much opportunity it gives everybody, and how everybody can educate themselves with it through all the successful services and products. And then they say the openness and opportunities it affords are coming under threat in the UK. In attempting to respond to tough questions around online harms, UK policymakers are currently pursuing blunt policy interventions like access bans that will do little to improve young people's experience online and instead undermine the web and infringe on human rights. Now that the Children's Wellbeing in Schools Bill has passed, ministers are consulting on which platforms and specific features should be placed behind age gates as a part of a national consultation on online harms. This approach focuses on restricting young people's access rather than ensuring services are designed to uphold their rights and interests by default. This is a really good point. This kind of goes back to the whole parental control thing on every single website. The vast majority of social medias out there, if not pretty much all of them, do have parental controls. So they make it so your kids just don't go on the social media and get immediately addicted. It is up to you as a parent or guardian, if you care enough, to use those parental controls that are already in place to moderate your children's activity and to make sure that they aren't spending their entire lives on social media. Why are the world's governments trying to make it so they are doing your job for you as parents, right? They are trying to raise your children for you, and there's so many parents out there that are so lazy and incompetent that they are letting the government do that at the risk of what? Everybody's privacy. Crucially, even targeted age restrictions of specific features could mean that all users are required to complete intrusive age assurance processes to retain full access. Restrictions under consultation include curfews for young users and wider restrictions on children's access to online services, with implications across internet services from video games, VPNs, to even static websites. Implementing such access restrictions hinges on all users having to verify their ages, not just young people, and places a burden on providers to comply in ways they consider appropriate. I really like this paragraph over here. As the UK is experiencing experiences with age assurance under the Online Safety Act have shown deploying age assurance technologies at scale come with significant trade offs. Existing age assurance technologies are either insufficiently accurate, this is something we've gone over a lot, undermine privacy and data security, or are not widely available across populations. Beyond concerns related to age assurance technologies themselves, mandating their implementation across an ever expanding list of core internet services undermines the decentralized nature of the web, its accessibility, and creates serious new security threats. Specifically, age assurance mandates risk cementing the dominance of gatekeeper app stores, operating systems, and platforms in walled gardens. They also risk turning the web into a patchwork of age gated jurisdictions, undermining free expression and access to information rather than a global resource accessible by all. Finally, age assurance technologies create massive data risk for all users, and this is again something we've gone over so many times, as demonstrated by serious breaches of UK users' government data. So the article that they reference in that link is the infamous Discord data leak that we've talked about many times. The 70,000 Discord user ID photos getting leaked in the UK, and as many people, including myself, speculate, it is likely way more than 70,000 IDs that actually got leaked. It might be somewhere in the millions. But obviously Discord doesn't want to say the actual number because it's going to make them look really bad. The internet is an essential resource that enables young people to engage with the world in a way that transcends their immediate environment, as well as find information they may not feel safe to access offline, such as about family abuse, politics, or their sexuality. At the same time, however, digital spaces can carry risks for different populations, including young people. These risks are real and require thoughtful policy interventions that address the root of the issue, not just simplistic policies like access bans. So I'm going to kind of like fill in the blanks here for them, but the thoughtful policy interventions that I hope they're referring to is really just holding the platforms themselves accountable for not protecting the kids. No, don't do that by forcing them to have ID age verification, but for example, Discord and Roblox are two infamous platforms that have done a terrible job of keeping kids safe on their platforms. When both companies have been presented with real offenders that are actually doing crimes on their platforms, they have done little to nothing to actually punish those criminals and bring them to law enforcement. They should be investigated, and as they are, Discord and Roblox specifically, as we talked about yesterday, and they should be held accountable, but it should not be done through ID age verification because that is just mass surveillance. Of particular importance is the way that most online spaces are not built with users' rights or choices in mind, but optimized for extracting value for online platforms. Underlying this is often the massive collection of user data used to target, lock in, and surveil users, feeding platforms ads-based business models. Addressing these harmful practices and holding tech companies accountable for providing safe online spaces that strengthen, not undermine users' choices and agency must be the priority of UK policymakers. Now is the time to hold tech to account, not undermine the open internet. Signatories of this letter remain ready to provide expertise, working with policymakers to ensure that measures that aim to keep children safe online are effective, proportional, and enable them to exercise all their human rights. I assume that when they say the whole measures that aim to keep children safe online thing is just an attempt for these guys to kind of have common ground with the government and try to make them more likely to listen. Because no, the age verification measures don't actually aim to keep children safe online, as is obvious. This is all about mass surveillance and control. This has nothing to do with protecting the kids, because if it did, the government would actually urge parents to actually monitor their kids' activity themselves, as opposed to saying, oh, don't worry, we'll do it. Just hand over your ID and your kid's ID. We got you guys. So yeah, I already know what some of you guys are going to be thinking, and I know this will be in the comments. Some people are going to say, well, what the hell is this letter going to do? It's not going to actually do anything, right? Well, I am still in the camp and the belief, and I've always said this in every single one of my videos, that even if you think that something might not help, even if you think that writing to your local policymakers won't help, at least it's trying. At least it's doing something. I recently had a conversation with Muda on Twitter where he was essentially saying that he feels like the whole age verification fight is lost. And I was just basically saying hey man, we should not have that mentality, especially you as a content creator. I mean, me, I'm a nobody, right? I have nowhere near as much influence as he does, right? But he's going ahead and basically saying that he's just being realistic. He would rather just teach people how to circumvent age verification as opposed to trying to fight it directly. And all I was telling him is hey, I understand your point of view, but you can do both, right? You can still make those videos teaching people how to protect their privacy, maybe use this VPN, or maybe, avoid age verification in these ways. But at the same time, you shouldn't be saying that the fight is lost, because it's not. Age verification laws are actually getting blocked around the world. And yes, age verification is getting pushed really fast. I'm not acting like it isn't. But the second that we all give up and say, oh, it's over, the fight's lost, I mean, I guess we might as well just, try to circumvent them or whatever, then the governments around the world are going to be even more encouraged to go ahead and make these horrible laws. So yeah, hopefully you guys don't give up. Hopefully Muda and all these other YouTubers around the world are not giving up. Let's at least try to fight against ID age verification. What's the harm in trying? I mean, for me, I'm not going to just give up my information like that. I do want to try to fight against these laws, and hopefully you guys do too. But let me know what your guys' thoughts are on the situation in the comments. Shout out to all these companies for writing this letter. Please leave a like in the video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe for more. See ya.